has been arrested. He was arrested in a raid this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latex gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. I'm Daniel, and today I think we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. We're going to be talking about some of these new pictures that have been dropped from Idaho State Police in reference to the Bryan Kohberger case. This time they've dived deep into Bryan Kohberger's apartment complex and his apartment and his living situation. There was a lot more there than I think a lot of people anticipated seeing. You know, it was often described as a room or a place that was possibly not going to be returned to. I don't think that's necessarily the case after we see these pictures. I think Bryan Kohberger did have full intention of returning back to his apartment. Now, we're probably going to do this in parts. Because of the sheer amount. I think there's like almost 700 pictures that are out there, and we're not going to go through all of them, but we're going to highlight some of the major ones and kind of talk about the things that we see. And we have a guest for today, visiting us again, Dr. Jaime Vona. Welcome to the show. There you go. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you. Glad to, and I see that you're sharing this out to your channel. So everybody on Dr. Jaime Vona's channel, welcome to the show.
Yes, I am. I decided instead of getting, demonetized again, maybe I should just hit share.
There you go.
Oops.
Anytime you're welcome to. And so, this, how's your weekend going before we get into the conversation? How's your weekend? It's a big Labor Day weekend, I believe. A lot of people are off. How's it going for you?
It's going pretty well. I'm just getting I'm finishing my last touches with all of my classes, but I think I'm good to go. How about you? Everything good over there?
Yeah. My dad's doing well. I know a lot of people have been
so happy to hear that.
Worried and concerned. Yes, he's at home. He's been at home for some time now. He was in the hospital for about 5 days, and then they let him go home. And he's been walking around doing some things. And so slowly yet surely, he's getting better every day. And so thank you for everybody that's checked in on him. Right now, here a few minutes ago, me, Britt, the wife, and our little one, Rogi, we went out to SeaWorld because they were doing this taste of barbecue. And so they had like Memphis barbecue, Texas barbecue, North Carolina style barbecue, and all these different types. So we wanted to go out there. And sure enough, we get caught in this like huge storm. It just starts pouring down on us, but it was a lot of fun. I would do it again. In fact, it was pretty nice because it was cloudy for a big portion of it, and we could just feel this cool draft of air just kind of take over. It was really warm today, and so it was actually kind of nice. We got a little wet coming back to the truck, but
that's all right.
It was fun. It was a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I recommend, if it's not lightning outside, go and try it. All right. So like, comment, subscribe, share. You guys know what to do. Let's get this conversation going. So there was 600 plus documents or pictures that were dropped in the Bryan Kohberger case. And today I wanted to kind of go through with you on a few of them. We're going to start off first with these two that are outside. You have a chair, a little table, and then there's another chair at the end, a couple of bricks back here. Anything that stand out to you about this picture?
No, not really. I mean, other than the fact that it's outside of the playground and the basketball court. So I don't know if that would have been annoying for him, like kids playing and being loud. I don't know. But that's the only thing that, of course, that's what stands out to me. But I'm sure something completely different stood out to you.
Well, there's two chairs, so he was anticipating at least having at least one other person out there. I don't know if he brought this with him in anticipation that he could have somebody out there. I don't know if this means that he frequently had people over to his house and so he purchased this because of that. The other thing I noticed is that the screen there is down.
Oh yes, I did see that.
I was wondering, why would the screen be down? Maybe he needed to. I don't know why the screen would be down, to be honest with you. On this porch, I was thinking maybe he needed to open the door and push something through the door. But I would have assumed that there's a door that he could have walked out, and there's not like there's large pieces of furniture or weird pieces of furniture that need to go out a window.
Mm-mm.
Do you think that maybe perhaps
there's a door that you go out? Yes. I mean, not a big door, but there's a door, like a regular door that you go out. So there would be no reason to pop that out. I mean, right. I don't know why. Because it doesn't look like, I like zoomed into it and it doesn't look like it's like cut or anything, like as far as like if some, like when you bust it out by accident. So it doesn't look like it's busted out and needs to be fixed. So I don't know why somebody would take it out. Maybe he just likes the clear vision. Maybe his visual snow. Maybe
he was practicing.
Maybe he was practicing. Could you imagine?
I mean, and it doesn't have to be for the King Road residents. There was a lot of reports that Bryan Kohberger was possibly stalking other students and faculty of WSU. In some of the reports, there was at least 2 other women. I believe one was a student and one was a faculty member that stated that they had seen boot prints or shoe prints that were backtracked in the snow into their back bedroom window. Mm. And so not necessarily saying that he was using this skill as an anticipatory reasons behind.
Sorry, my niece just busted in.
No, it's okay.
I apologize.
For me, it's not, I see this and I think maybe he was wanting to practice how to remove them quickly and, and quietly. And in an area, in a place that if he's busted, he can just, I don't know what reason he would say he's doing it to his own house, but he doesn't have to answer those questions.
Yeah, I don't know. This screen, I don't really know why he would have it out. Someone in the chat said that they have like a problem there with screens, so I don't know if it's, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he liked to have his window open and it didn't allow enough air.
I was thinking maybe something with visual snow. I don't know.
Possibly.
If he really, had something like that.
That's good. Could be. It could be. Maybe he locked himself out.
You said maybe he locked himself out. That might be it.
Well, you'd have to climb up to the second floor. That'd be interesting to see if he did something like that. I would assume that there's some sort of like maintenance that they could call. But it very well could be he locked himself out, and I mean, he could be practicing climbing up to the second balcony. What about, so this is in his closet. Apparently this guy, according to him, has some sort of OCD. Do you see that here with this?
No,
mess?
Not at all. Nope. As a matter of fact, I feel like this validates everything that I've been saying. This is the thing. So let me remind people that when you have OCD, it does not mean that you have the germaphobe type. Germophobia is a type of OCD. So you can have OCD and not be a germaphobe. The thing is that if you're a germaphobe, you have OCD. And what we've been told about him is that he's a germaphobe, which is why he would have OCD. So other than so I was thinking about it, and I was talking to one of my subs, Sarah, about it, about why would his hands be all red and stuff at prison, because people were like, he keeps washing his hands. That could be more of the fact that he just doesn't have control, right? So it's like that rigid thinking, like I've been saying before, that goes more with a personality disorder. This right here is not germophobia conditions. Like you wouldn't see it like this. This is a huge mess. You know what else it says to me, Daniel? We see him in like that white button-up shirt and stuff, and he looks all put together with his thumbs up. And then you open up the closet and just see it as like opening up his world, and like it's just a disaster, right? It's complete chaos.
Yeah, you make a lot of sense there. It's also a mask, a facade, the neatness,
yes.
The presentation of being, I guess, clean. And we'll see some more here. But what about the lottery tickets here? $30,000 cash reward, not scratched, left behind. Does that say anything that I don't understand why he wouldn't scratch them?
I know. I don't even know how that made it to the shelf.
Right. And it appears there's a second one right here.
It could have came in one of his cards that, we see on the like next to the TV, like maybe somebody sent lottery cards and he just threw it in there. But again, I don't know how it wasn't scratched off. That's like the best part. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. He could have been a millionaire this whole time.
Could have been.
Or 30 could have been 30,000.
Imagine that. Yeah, right. 1,000.
See, more just stuff just kind of packaged up there in his closet.
I did notice with the detergent, it doesn't look like it's ever been used. It's detergent and it's softener, fabric softener. And then look at how he just has like the toilet paper. It's just like thrown up there. To me, if like he has OCD, like the germaphobe type even, you would see more of like a structure and it would definitely be like neat. It wouldn't just be all thrown in there. There's like a box on top. Look at that. That's a mess.
This is a mess. And that looks like newspaper clippings. I wonder what he clipped out. I wonder what he clipped out.
I see receipts everywhere.
They are receipts. I see some goggles here.
Yes.
And some flathead screws. I think that's.
Oh, he's got 1,000 flathead screwdrivers in the one drawer.
Oh yeah, they look interesting too.
It's crazy.
It's just kind of piled up everything in his closet.
You know what else I noticed? The duct tape. Like, if you ever buy duct tape, it's like really thick, like the roll, and that's like not a lot of duct tape for a duct tape roll. And I like looked in the middle and it really is duct tape. It's not like a different brand or something. So I wonder what he uses so much duct tape on. And there's the
good observation. That's a great observation. Probably used it to tape some things inside of his car. Just my guess.
Yeah. And it's white.
So this is his living room. Vacuum, furniture there. One thing that I noticed is this mat here. Look at this corner of the rug.
You would notice something like that.
Like, does this rug look new to you?
It kind of like in my head, and again, this is just speculation. In my head, he didn't take a lot of this stuff from home. I feel like he like went to Walmart or Target or something and bought these things, but I don't know. That could be the way it was packaged. It could have been, I have no idea why. What are your thoughts?
I was just wondering if there was something on it for a long period of time, something that was heavy that he left there, but it doesn't appear to be an impression in the in the actual carpet on itself on the bottom of it. Like if we were to move this, you would probably see the impression of the leg.
Absolutely.
So
it was probably rolled up and just packaged. Yeah, it was probably just rolled up and packaged with like the corner bent in.
Unless at one point it was underneath.
Could be.
Underneath and it was just on top of it. But my other thought is maybe it's brand new and he's replacing one. And it's from its packaged.
Could be. What about the cord? I'm like, he has cords all over. I don't know. He's just a mess to me. Not a mess. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't look like messy, but when you open up closets and like you see the cords everywhere, and like when you open up over here, he looks very clean here, but then when you go to open those doors right there where the TV is, it's a mess under there too.
I'm glad you bring up the cord. I think this is where he did a lot of his work. I know he has a computer in his bedroom, but if you look at the chair in his bedroom,
it was horrible.
It's a small little one. And so I can see him doing a lot of his work right here on a laptop and using that cord so that way he can plug it in.
I agree.
That's an interesting card. We're going to talk about that card here in a minute.
It is.
This is inside of his bookshelf, or in his not his bookshelf, underneath his TV. More books. We'll go through what those books are here in a minute. Now he's got birthday cards. Happy birthday, Bryan. And this card here was also on the TV shelf, and it's heavily redacted. But on the outside of it, it says, "A son never leaves your home, but never your heart. He discovers his own happiness, which in turn becomes yours." I assume this came from his mother. I'm assuming this is also the other because there's two cards on his TV shelf here. And I'm assuming one of them is this one and the other one is the one with the dinosaur. But you have Happy Birthday, Bryan, with hearts. I'm assuming this is from his mom because it has hearts. That's the only person that probably ever sent him hearts. And then you have this weird
Yeah,
thing.
and then Bryan.
Brahim. Now, Bryan had an email address of username that was spelled awkwardly too. Do you remember that?
I do. There's on the card, right?
Well, it was a username that he had, but he spelled it wrong. It was like
Oh, the
EUSE.
username. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he had a email that was spelled weird, but it was when you sounded it out, it was username@gmail.com. And it was
I don't
spelled weird,
remember that.
kind of like this. Yeah, no, there's an email associated with him, and it's called username, and it is it's weird. It's weirdly spelled. The way he
It
spelled
is.
username. And I saw this and I wondered if it was, it's not his writing. It don't appear to be his writing. Unless, do you think, well, I don't think it's his writing because look, it says here, I did not lick it, BK, #COVID.
Because of COVID.
Right. But not necessarily because of COVID. I think they knew how BK was with the germs and all that other stuff.
I don't think that looks like his writing, no.
I don't think it's his writing either. But what I'm saying is, who do you think would send him this?
Maybe that the person he worked with or a sibling.
Maybe. I was thinking sibling too, to be honest with you. And I was wondering if him and his sibling had this weird way of writing to each other in this awkward way, like the way she wrote his name. Because he had an email that was awkward, and I think it was an older email. I wish I could find it. If the mods, I know you guys are amazing. If you guys have it, please send it to me on Discord. I'd appreciate it. The document that has it. Let me see. I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, mods, if you're watching, I'd appreciate it. So I was thinking also a sibling, because there's no postage on it, and there's no postage on this one. And this one is from mom. You get what I'm saying? So do you think that they both came in the mail together?
Or were handed to him, because that doesn't look like it came in the mail.
Well, I mean, his mom wouldn't be able to hand him this one. His mom was in Pennsylvania.
No, exactly. But that other one that said Bryan, there wasn't like, it didn't have like a return address or like a mailing.
Well,
I mean, they could have sent him. They could have sent him a box of something. Do you know what I mean? Like with stuff in it, and these cards could have been in the box. So that could have been that too. So yes, they could have absolutely came together.
I think they were, because there's no postage on the other one.
Me neither, right? And like you said, it would have to get there somehow from his mom from Pennsylvania. So it was probably in one of those FedEx boxes that we saw in the closet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now there was a thought, and let me pull it up real quick. Well, we'll go one at a step. And it's this one. So this is the card, and it says here, speak softly and carry a big stick. Unless you can ride a dinosaur, then do that instead. Theodore Roosevelt, U.S. President. Actually, he didn't really say the whole part of this. Theodore Roosevelt only said, speak softly and carry a big stick, and it was reference to something else. What do you think about this this card? There's this Teddy Roosevelt riding a dinosaur, and it says, you are a dino and professor.
A professor. LMAN. So I think right here, whoever this is knows who he is, which makes me think more that it's his sister. So it says both of your egos. So he's a dinosaur, so very like reptilian-like, right? And then on the other hand, very like professor-esque as well. So I feel like this person knows him. Like knows him.
I agree. I think, and this is the same person that wrote the Bryan, because they write it again here. Now, the one weird thing about it is they put the wrong date. His birthday was the 22nd.
No, it's the 21st.
Oh, no, it's the 21st. You're right. It is the 21st.
I think it's
the driver's license expires the 22nd. You're right. I apologize. So happy birthday.
I think it's a sister.
I think it's his sister as well. I think that's who it is. And I think that both of these were sent together from from Pennsylvania, probably, as you mentioned, in a FedEx box. And they're on the...
So
Go ahead.
Jeff just made a good point. Jeff said that is Bryan. Could that be the way that Naim Ko might have pronounced his name? There is something to that. So I have a lot of students in my classes that are, their first language is in English. So my sister-in-law even, she calls me Jimmy instead of Jamie. So could it have been something like that? Absolutely. But if you think about it more like how it's with the mom's card, I think it's more likely that it's his sister. But I do agree with Jeff that there is something to that, you know, she could have misspelled his name. But I'm thinking it's more the sister, in my opinion.
You know, I was told that. I was actually one of the followers and viewers messaged me and is asking me, could it have been Naim Ko? And mainly because there's this here. Somebody put a happy smiley face saying hello.
Wow.
And then this is on Bryan Kohberger's office, and inside is a smiley face. But to me, it doesn't look the same.
No, it's not.
You have the little, it's not. There's no cheeks. This is wider. I don't know who put that, but I don't think it's the same person. And I think that these two came together.
I agree.
And I think they.
I
came
agree,
together.
and I don't know that she would have pointed out about his two egos. Where like I think the sister like would, because she would know him more to like joke around like that.
Yeah, and the guy does kind of look like a T-Rex. Bryan does. He's got this.
But doesn't she really know her brother? Whoever wrote that card or whoever picked this card out, like really understood the assignment here. Like in one sense, he's like, he like poses as this like professor. When we get to some of his writings, you guys, it's so his teachers, I'm like cracking up at one point. His teacher, I circled all of them. There's like different points where I'm like reading it at one point and I'm like, why is he making this sound so complex? So he seems like he's trying to portray this like professor, like fancy person, but then at the core of it, he's like, it's like a dinosaur, like it's his primitive self. So this person, I feel like really knows who he is and was able to call out his ego in a way that they felt comfortable doing so in a birthday card.
What do you think about the fact that the birthday card is on the TV stand?
That he's proud of it. He's like, wow, somebody sees me.
Do you think it's from who it's from or what they're saying?
Well, both. So, well, no, not from who it's from, really. More about like what it's saying. And also you have to remember, this is how many days after the crime. So to him, it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to school in one sense and I am a monster in the other.
That's true. And it appears that the other one, I'm assuming I'm not sure what this is. I'm assuming it's the other card from mom.
Yeah.
But then there's this like ripped aspect to it. I'm not sure what it is.
No. I wonder why they felt the need to redact it.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably from his mom, because it seems like all the writing of personal writing between his family, because again, even in this one, outside of the happy face and whatever's written on the outside, something in the inside is blacked out. Probably something that identifies who they are.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably something identifiable.
So he had it on the TV stand. These are the books that were found in his possession. I don't know how much go with what he was studying, but it's interesting. I mean, why the innocent plead guilty and the guilty go free? A trial by jury. I think there was another one that has to do with this criminal procedure. I mean, with the trial aspect, convicting the innocent. Do you think he was? Does this tell you that he was probably a lot more involved in his own defense than what we may have known, given the fact that he was, studying these books?
So this is what I think. I think that some of these books are for his studies, and some of these books are the studies of him being in his TA position. So I think that this is like, if he has 2 classes, he might have 4 books for himself. And then let's say he's a TA for 3 more classes or 4 more. I mean, so that's that many more books. So I don't know that any of these are like books. I wonder, what does that say? Is that a bookmark in The Rise of the Warrior Cop? Does that say Bryan Kohberger?
It could say Bryan. That's a big word. I'm not. I mean,
Oh no, I don't
Kohberger's
know
not a
what that
short word,
says.
but
Yeah, no, I was seeing it far away. I got old eyes. But anyway, so but look at like Unsafe in the Ivory Tower. That's about SA. So
I was
I'm
gonna
and
say
then
this. Which one?
yes.
What we've looked at his teaching schedule in his school before, and what classes he was going to be taking. I don't recall this being a subject matter.
No, but it could be one of the ones for where he's a TA.
Well, he was a TA for Criminology 101 and like administration in criminology or
So
something of that
that this
nature.
could fit under both of those classes, Unsafe in the
Okay.
Ivory Tower. So the Ivory Tower would be like the university. And so it's about SA on the university campus. So that could actually fall under either one of them. So I do think that mostly, if not all of these books are ones that go with his courses. Like I don't know that any of these are personal reads. You could even tell by looking at them, most of them look like they've never been opened.
That's true.
That one does. The guilty one, or Why Do the Innocent, that one looks like that cover's been open. I don't know how much he read after that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Here are the screwdrivers.
oh my gosh.
I mean, when I looked
That's
at it, I
crazy.
mean, they just look creepy because they're all dark. Like this looks like a stuff you would find in a burglar's tool bag.
Seriously. Like if you were on a date and you opened up the drawer and saw this, you would run. I don't
Probably.
know. Oh, you know what I noticed? You have a kid. Did you notice the safety thing on the drawers? All of the drawers have the child safety thing on them. See them right there?
good.
And they're not even symmetrical. I'm like, that would have driven me crazy. Not this drawer. I think this one's more symmetrical, but the next drawer, not symmetrical at all. I'm like, that would have driven me nuts. But I'm like,
Yeah.
why didn't he just pop that off? He had a million screwdrivers right there.
There's also these pictures of his writing his name and a date and something blacked out. I don't know what it is. What do you think that's about?
Maybe it identifies his course or something. I don't know, because I'm thinking, didn't they already like show his phone number and his address? Like, so I don't know what it could be. I'm thinking maybe, I mean, it's obviously, in my opinion, identifying something. So whether it be like the teacher, another student, something.
Yeah, could be. I wonder what all this stuff in these plastic bags are back here.
More tape.
So this is Bryan Kohberger's office. Take it easy. Don't give up. That looks like his writing.
It does a little bit, but if I think even more interesting is where it says Bryan Kohberger next to it. It has Naomi.
Yeah.
It has her name too. But I don't think we could see it on this one, but there's another one, like a side view, and you could read both of their names. So I'm like, who redacted these? Because they redact some of them and not the others. Like you were saying, the card, like in the one they show it, in the next one, it looks like it could be redacted. But same thing here. It looks like they redacted her name. But if you look at it from another angle, you could see her name written next to his, which makes me think, were they doing something where it was like him versus her? It's this one. So it says Kohberger, and then when you look, it says
Right,
Naomi Co.
It says
Yep.
Bryan, and then it says something in. Do you think that's different language, or different like?
Yeah, I don't. It looks like a
You think
date
that-
almost.
Okay,
No, it looks like percentage. I know what I thought it looks like. It's a percentage.
okay.
I think he gets 26%.
I'm over here
to her
thinking it's like
74%.
meandering or something.
No, I think he got.
I think you're right.
Whoever she won here. She got 74% of the votes, and he got 26%.
Well, who the hell's gonna vote for him? There's probably four people in there, and he voted for himself.
Right. Or people that were afraid because he had to give them their grade. They were like, maybe I should vote for him.
See, this looks weird. Like I can't tell what that. I mean, they could be numbers. 22. It's crazy. It's weird numbers. But yeah, that looks like 24.99%. That could be it.
I think it's 26 to 74.
And there's a lot of his the food that he had in his freezer and his fridge: cauliflower pizza, Beyond Meat, a bunch of different types of pizza. What does this make you think of? What do you think of when you see all this? What comes to your mind? I'll tell you what came to my mind right away, but what came to yours?
So at first, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is more organized. Like I would think of somebody that, has OCD or something. But then when you pan out, the side door is a complete mess again. It's like, I don't think it's this one. I think it's like the next one or whatever. But if they take another one where you see the side door and it's a complete mess. But I just seen it as maybe he thought he was coming back.
Oh, he definitely was coming back. My thoughts are there's a lot of pizza stuff here. I mean, multiple. It's the most stuff that's
The
there. is
Mad
pizza.
Greek.
The Mad Greek, exactly. That's the first thing that went through my mind because Mad Greek had a vegetarian pizza, and it seems like that is his go-to. You know,
Yes,
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, again, I know that the Barnharts out there in for Cellbrite, they ended up finding that there was an image of the Mad Greek on his phone at one point, and what that image was as if you were searching for like vegetarian pizza near me, and the Mad Greek popped up. That's what was on his phone, and so to me, I think this means. I think this means that the likelihood of him visiting the Mad Greek it increases based on his choice of food here.
I agree 1,000%. And how funny is it that they have pad Thai over there and he's like, we're going to get Thai food. So we know that he likes pizza and Thai food.
Pretty much. This is his closet in his bedroom. He has several shirts there. I can't really see everything that's up there.
One of the pictures that we see often is him in a blue shirt, and it's one of those shirts up there. I noticed. I don't know why I noticed that, but I did.
He's got a whole new
Yeah, what's that about?
Bed sheets and stuff. Brand new.
It's like 2 sets of them, and there's water bottles everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Take notice when you look at all the pictures. Like, could that be water bottles right there? The one in the front. There's literally water bottles. Like, I was looking at the pictures and there's water bottles in like every room. Like that first one in front, could that be like a water, like when you get a case of water? No, in front of the where the new stuff is. Yeah, right there.
I think that's like a package for sheets.
Okay.
Something allergy.
Oh yeah, it is then. If you see allergy,
Serta?
definitely.
I think it says Serta right there.
Okay, it probably is definitely for the sheets. But why doesn't he have the comforter or the sheet set? Like, he's got 2 extra comforters. Or a pillow thing. What is that? The other one.
That's for the whole comforter. This here looks like it says gelled microfiber. I think that's for the pillow.
That's interesting. And it's all like white silk. That reminds me very like American Horror.
Simply allergen asthma.
Over there. Oh my gosh, he's got so much extra bedding. What the hell? That's weird.
Yeah. And then he's got his pants here and some sort of device there. This is his computer. Look at the chair.
Oh, the chair is the first thing I noticed. I was like, there is no way in hell I was writing a dissertation on that chair.
I agree. That's why I said I think he did most of his work up in the living room.
Did you notice how dusty the top was?
I did. I was going to ask you about that.
So nasty. It's definitely not giving me OCD vibes.
But all right. So here's the thing, though. He was gone for 7 weeks. Now, let's rephrase that. He was gone for 2.5 weeks since he had left Pennsylvania or Pullman to go to Pennsylvania. Could that have been just collected during that time while he was gone?
Not 2.5 weeks. That looks like a lot of dust. There's times that I don't come down the shore for 2.5 weeks, and there's not that much dust.
And there's nothing moved around where the mouse is, just a little bit over here. So as I said, I don't think he did much work here.
No.
I don't think he did much at all.
No, it's a shame. That's a pretty nice monitor. He should have used it more.
Now, here's the other interesting thing is that there's this pillow without a pillowcase, but he has all this bedding set, but no pillowcase. And there's blood on it. Now, I don't know if it was, he may have washed it multiple times and bleached it, and you could determine that it was blood, but I don't know if you could match it to anything. I think that might be an issue. But there's blood on it.
No.
And when you take off the mattress, there's like a smudge of blood at the bottom.
So he probably got rid of whatever sheets were on top. But that didn't come back to anybody, right? Because we would have known about it if that had one of
It
the.
came back to blood, but I don't know if it was if he would have used chemicals on it, if it would have degraded enough to where you couldn't test it.
He probably did too. If you looked at the bathroom, like everything else is dusty, and then the bathroom's like gleaming. So chances are he did bleach it or put something on it. He had to have noticed that. I mean, it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it's interesting.
I don't think he cleaned his sheets and like rolled them back up and put them back in the packaging though. So I feel like there's the packaging of sheets were like newer sheets that when he went back, he would have put it on. So then did he get rid of his old sheets? Were they part of like the, like you were saying before with the duct tape? Could he have used sheets and stuff like that? Oh no, I guess sheets wouldn't really be a good deterror of stuff in the car. You would need more of like a tarp material, right? Like a shower curtain.
I don't know.
To like line the car.
You know, I would assume so. Some sort of plastic. I don't think the sheets would have been enough.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a good.
No, but the plastic that they that the sheets come in could have been used.
The shower curtain.
The shower curtain could have definitely.
Oh, well,
but
no, because it was the next day. It was in the shower the next day when he did the thumbs up. So it wasn't the shower curtain.
Yeah, I think that the shower curtain was more removed because he took a shower in his room or in his shower at some point and didn't trust it. That he probably had blood on him somewhere. And so he got rid of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Especially because there's like pictures of the drain that they pulled out and there's like not a hair in the drain. And I'm like, he definitely had to clean that out. There's no way.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So these are the documents and the pictures that you had brought up. We went through mine pretty quickly, so we'll be able to go through yours pretty fast probably as well.
Yeah.
What did you want to point out about this? I'm assuming it's the happy face.
Was this part of one of mine? I didn't realize that. Maybe this one was an accident. Mine were more the documents, but I think it is interesting that he has like his name on the door and stuff. So that was like, are these the ones that sent? Is this one of mine that was sent?
I may have accidentally put some of the ones that I meant onto yours.
You're good.
What is this? A survival kit, student survival kit. Interesting.
Oh wait, what is that pool thing? Is that like? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even see that. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Where is the
student survival kit?
The hillsongrand.com.
We'll have to look into it.
You know, that does kind of look like that does.
Yeah, doesn't it?
No, I think that the because there was we had images of Kaylee, not Kaylee, it was Xana. I think it was Xana and Bethany, who were at the pool at the same pool that had the pool party that Bryan Kohberger attended in July, but it wasn't the same party. They were just at the same place at a different time. But I could have sworn the chairs were gray, not orange.
Gotcha. I think that the ones that they were on were in the pool. So they might have been different chairs. I don't know. But it's just the fact that there's that pool thing. I was like, oh, well, it just looked like it for a minute. Maybe it's probably not. It's probably nothing.
So
here we go, you guys.
You know, the first thing I saw this one, and I actually had this one in mind as well. And the first thing that I saw was that he wrote out here, to which extent local police officers are undertrained, need to be indicated in order to fully understand the needs of the local police departments with respect to digital evidence, which a few studies have explored. To me, I was like, man, this guy's already, and this is a document that Bryan Kohberger was writing. And when I read that, and even somebody circled it, and they were like, I guess the teacher circled it and was like, is this an assumption?
Yes.
And, you know, to me, I felt like this is something that he already looked at. And again, he wrote this in his essay in the fall for his position at the Pullman Police Department, that he wanted to help rural police officers understand, you know, forensic cloud-based evidence. Basically saying these backwoods, you know, hillbilly cops that don't know how to use a phone, can barely use a flip phone. They need help understanding how to use a cell phone. And, you know, I took that as a dig when he wrote it in his essay. And it seems to me that he had that opinion about local law enforcement or about city cops, needless to say, probably because, and this is my opinion, I think he felt that most city cops aren't PhDs, they're not master degrees. So he's probably looking down upon them because of their studies. What do you think?
1,000%. And I think he also, like, even when he talks to the cops when he gets arrested and he says, I've thought about being a cop before, da, da. So obviously there's a reason that he didn't become a cop. I do think, like you said, I think he thinks he's better than that. And that he could be the one that provides the information to the cops, just so that people know that are looking at this document. All of the stuff on here, except for the black ink, was stuff that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, did it go back to a different picture?
No, I went back. They said to go back here that this is some
sort of, okay.
This is some sort of
take one tablet by mouth every morning on an empty stomach. There is another document where there's it says the same thing. It's like I don't know, it's in one of the other ones. I don't think it was one of the ones that I sent you, but it also has that same thing. It's like in the corner, it says the same thing about that. But just so people know, with this, the red, the yellow, all of that, the blue is mine. What I did was anywhere that we see blue on any of the documents were things that I thought were like law enforcement questions that I would have for Daniel. The other stuff was me being a teacher and just like, oh my gosh, I was like, I need to stop. But I wrote a lot of his writing is in passive voice. For example, he writes, which the current proposal wishes to do. He also uses big words that are better said in simpler terms. Maybe that's what the professor meant when they say stop using flowery language. So that's what I write. This is the first document I see. As I go through the documents, I start to notice that his teacher starts circling words that he does, and they like cross it out and put a much simpler word. So I think he was trying to seem more well-versed and better, spoken than what he really was. He needs citations, you guys. There's no citations. He makes so many claims and has no citations. You can't say that the cops are undertrained and not cite any research to back your claims. Like, there's just so much wrong in here. And I guess for me, the thing was, at a PhD level, like if he were taking my class, I teach research methods. If he turned this in, he would have not done very well. I would have given him another try, but he would have gotten all this stuff written back on it, and he would have had to return it in with all the corrections. I don't know.
Interesting. No, you're right.
Maybe I'm just a harder teacher. I don't know.
No, you're right. And I didn't realize, so I didn't even read the blue part, to be honest with you. It says, unfortunately, there is no current training or standard to which digital forensic examiners conduct analysis, confounded by the fact that local police departments are notably understaffed and under-resourced to the rise of the challenges arise for the processing and storage of digital evidence. Again, kind of taking a dig at law enforcement, saying that they are incapable of following the digital evidence for various of reasons of being understaffed and undertrained. And I think he may have taken that as I think he may have taken this approach in committing this crime as thinking that, he was going to get away with so many things and they weren't going to look into so many things. And so he became a little sloppy, such as taking his phone with him versus leaving it at the house, turning it on when he got far enough away from the residents that he felt that they weren't going to be able to pick up his phone on a geofencing of the towers that are in the area. And some of those things with regard to what he was able to do was somewhat correct. I mean, those weren't the things that captured him. It wasn't his phone turning on or him having his phone that caught him. It was him leaving the sheath behind and the DNA being there. It ended up sealing the deal for him. But, he did kind of get away with those things. And, fortunately, he did turn his phone off and take it with him and all those things, because it would have been a much harder case to prove if he had left it at home. But I think this is the signs of him underestimating law enforcement and their abilities, which ended up making him make a lot of mistakes.
1,000%. He definitely gave he definitely portrayed himself, in my opinion, to be more of an academic than, like, after I read the stuff. And I am not like downing him. There are a lot of things that he writes that are good. For example, in one of the things he writes, like, a really good cover page. People do the cover page and the reference page wrong all the time, and he does it right. So I was like, oh wow, I would have been so excited about that. But then when I read this other stuff, like, the fact that he doesn't know not to write in passive voice, like you're supposed to write in past tense, but in active voice. And I just feel like that by the end of your bachelor's or master's, at least, that he should have known some of these things. So I think these teachers were a lot nicer to him than I might have been. However, we get to documents where he starts using citations and stuff. So a teacher eventually does call him out and holds him accountable to be better than what he's doing.
Yeah. Interesting. And in this document here, State versus Stewart, it says, decide, could he, I can't read what it says, but it says here, Peggy Stewart, the defendant, was charged with first-degree murder after she killed her husband. When he was sleeping, Stewart's husband would repeatedly abuse both Peggy and both her daughters. Carla and Laura, the husband repeatedly put a gun to Peggy's head, forced her to commit sexual acts, and took the life of one of her cats. Stewart presented the case as she killed him in self-defense and was supported by testimony from her daughters. Stewart had escaped from her husband and entered a hospital where she told a nurse that she had wanted to shoot her husband. Her husband collected her from the hospital and threatened to kill her if she ever left again. Stewart that night took a loaded gun and shot her husband while he was asleep.
Like,
And
that
so-
to me sounds more of like a book review and not like an academic assignment. And this assignment is the same. So there's other cases. So this teacher must give this format where it says like issue, rule, and you have to fill it in for whatever the case is that they give that week, which is that's a great assignment. So, but here, like, I put a question mark for the issue. He wrote whether the criminal defendant can apply for defense based on battered women syndrome. The threat the defendant is facing must be imminent or the defense will have no longer be applicable. I was like, what the does that even say? Like, it's not, that's not even a sentence. So then the teacher goes in and tries to like make it a lot simpler. And by erasing those things, it would just say whether the criminal, or no, what, I don't even know. I don't even think the teacher knew, because on the side it says perhaps reword to emphasize imminent.
Right.
So it's like
But-
you're going everywhere else. Just focus on the imminent part and forget all this other stuff. He gets very, very like wordy. And I think he's doing it because he thinks that it makes him look more prestigious. But in my opinion, it winds up doing the opposite, because a lot of the words he doesn't even use right in the sentence. You know?
I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with the way he wrote it.
Not this one. You'll see when we get up to them. You'll see
Okay.
where the teacher.
Because what he's saying is that for the defendant to apply for a self-defense, it's kind of like, and I'll put it in a different scenario. Like if somebody was attacking you, you can only apply the proper amount of force, and you also have to be in fear of your life in that moment. So if somebody turns away from you and runs,
Wait, real quick. What you just said is what he should have just wrote. So what you just said was an active voice and it was in past tense. That's exactly what he should have wrote. He didn't write that. Like, he's writing. So maybe you just were better able to articulate it, but the two sentences that you just said could have fit here and he would have gotten that right.
interesting.
He like, do you see how he gets wordy over here? Like whether the criminal defendant can apply for it. Like he just puts too many things together at once. And the way that you worded it, like you were saying, you made it active. You were like, what he's saying is, well, that's what he's trying to say, but he's not saying that. And you see that over and over in his writing.
Yeah.
But tell us, what did he mean by this? What does this mean? Just so that people do know.
Well, in this scenario, it would mean that in order for a self-defense defense, the fear has to be intimate. It has to be happening in that moment. If you are pre-planning it, like in this scenario where she talks to somebody about the thought of killing her husband, and or if there isn't a threat happening in the moment, it's no longer valuable or a valid threat. So like, for instance, if you were in a situation where you were involved in an altercation and you felt that your life was in danger, you can act upon it. The use of force continuum is limited based on what you can do. You cannot exceed force, meaning if somebody swings on you, you can't shoot them. You get what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
The other thing is too, you have to be in fear of your life, and the danger must be happening in that moment. So if you're getting attacked and somebody turns away from you and they're facing you away and running away, and let's just say you brandish a weapon and they turn around and run, the threat is no longer intimate. The threat is gone. you no longer have the right to shoot them in the back. And that's kind of
And I
what he's
think
trying to say here.
they're sleeping. I think that's what he's saying here. Like the person was sleeping and that there was 2 cars, so she could have taken a car and left. So
Yeah.
I think that was a point. But you know why I laughed when you were first saying that? Because you reworded it. And again, your first 2 sentences would have gotten you the question right. Like you reworded it and you still did it in active voice and past tense, which is what you're supposed to do. He does a lot of things in passive voice, and he doesn't articulate his wording. But I think it's not because he doesn't understand it. I think it's because he's trying to make himself appear to be more prestigious when the teacher, and you're going to see this as the things go on, is just kind of like write the easier things so that people can understand what you're trying to say.
But I do think that there's a difference when it comes to like battered woman's syndrome, because, or when it comes to anybody with long for abuse for a long period of time. Now you may have a defense to it. That defense may not be a defense that's going to get you off of the crime completely, but it may lessen the crime, may lessen the punishment and those type of things too. But that's just my 2 cents on that. A rule says for a criminal defendant to claim self-defense based on battered woman syndrome, the threat of the defendant is facing must be intimate. Otherwise, the defense cannot be used or applicable. I mean, what word do they want him to use other than intimate?
No, this is what he should use. The rule was okay. I don't write anything for the rule except for I crossed out yes too, because it was like he said, yes, there should be a rule, which I agree that like that shouldn't have been there. But the rest of that was fine. I didn't find anything wrong with that. I didn't find anything wrong with a lot of this either. But I do see some things that I'm just like, huh?
All right, so the bottom says conclusion, and you wrote bad writing. Stewart was found guilty.
Fragment.
Stewart was found guilty as the defendant must be facing imminent danger because the defense must happen out of necessity and not because of the possibility of danger in a future situation. In the case Stewart, her husband was sleeping when she killed him, and while there was no threat of imminent danger to Stewart's person. And wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I can see that probably could be rewritten better. I'm surprised
I think another big thing here is that there's no citations. Like I said here, there's no citations. He needs to add citations. You're at a graduate level. Like at the bachelor level, I expect you to write citations. He writes no citations until like the end, where somebody had to eventually be like, look, in order for you to get points, like you have to cite things, which just means that he's taking everything that he thinks as opposed to the things that are already in the literature. He's not doing the research that he needs to do. So he's assuming that there's no research out there about, something that I don't even know that he researched.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so in this scenario here,
good. Sorry.
In this scenario here, how would you want him to cite something? Like, what would you expect to be cited in this scenario?
Everything you say that you get from somewhere needs to be cited. So even if he got it from Stewart, like this is a case study that the teacher gave him. Let's say the date of the article is 2000. It would say Stewart and then comma parentheses 2000 parentheses then comma, and then you would write the rest, or at the end of the sentence you would cite it at the end. It's just saying that you're acknowledging, like you can't make a claim. In some of them he'll say things like 8 to 9% of blah blah blah. You can't say that. Like you can't just say 8 to 9%. Okay. Like where do you get that from? So that's what he does throughout a lot of his writing. He makes claims and doesn't say where he's getting the idea from, which is a huge no-no in any research.
That makes sense. No, I understand. Natalie comes in with 1999. Thank you so much. She says, did you see the professor's comments on one of the papers explaining that he tries too hard with his vocabulary? Everything about this guy seemed to be, it seemed to irritate anyone forced to deal with him in any manner. He is so childlike. Do you think that he got away with some of this stuff in DeSales University?
Yes, I do. And I don't know why. And that makes me question all the time. And my thing is I also want to play devil's advocate. How do I know that there weren't complaints made or there weren't teachers that talked on the side like, oh, this guy, da, da, da. We don't really know that. So I do want to keep in mind that maybe we just know more here because of the circumstances. At least I hope so, because to think that nobody at DeSales saw any of this is a little bit alarming.
Hmm.
No,
I do
you know what I
too.
mean?
I do too. I mean, it's very disturbing. But do you think that the perhaps because he lived with his parents while he was at DeSales, that made a difference?
No, not at all. I I don't know if my students live with their parents or not. I don't ask.
Huh.
Like your parents,
No,
there's a
I
purple ball.
understand that, but do you think that him living with his parents had a
No, I don't.
an effect on his behavior?
Oh, and maybe as far as like he maybe didn't become the killer that he became when he wasn't with them. So maybe there he felt like he had more room to control his environment in that sense. But as far as anything to do with college, no, absolutely not. There's a FERPA law. You could be 17. If you're in a college class, the FERPA law actually protects you. So even though you're underage, your parents still can ask about your college course. So I could ask about your courses at the high school, but the one that you take at college, there's a FERPA law that protects you. So I don't think his parents, as far as his education, had any standing, but as far as his behavior, possibly kept it. And who knows? How do we even know that it kept it at bay? We don't really know. Like we know that he wasn't caught with anything there, but we don't really know that he didn't do something. You know what I mean?
That's true.
A lot of the people, like the friend's mom, she didn't report about the iPad. So there were things that happened. I mean, his dad seemed to be the only one that really held him accountable with the phone that one time.
That's
But it
true.
seems like everybody else kind of just let him get away with it.
That is true. That's true. This one here, you see, you underline. Make sure to adjust your aim question based on gap. I assume that's what it says. Which
Yeah. So
also
gap in the
need to
literature.
merge. Also
So
need
what?
to merge something burglary it. What do you think that
Right.
is?
So it says it, which also needs to emerge from the like referencing the burglary literature. So what the teacher's saying here is what I was just saying on the page before. It almost seems like, and the teacher's saying this exact same thing. That's what he's saying here is, did you really look at the literature? Because on another one, he even says, like, I saw some like research out there about this. So he's starting to question Bryan, and he's saying, look, Bryan, like you need to find a gap in the literature. So in other words, Bryan's thought of what he wants to research could have very well have already been researched. And when you're a researcher, you want to replicate research, but you want to find a gap that hasn't been researched. So maybe, for example, I looked at the effects of media messages on identity development of 18 to 24-year-old community college students. The gap in the literature is that it's never, my research has never been done on 4-year institutions. So that would be a gap. So you could still look at the same thing I did, but now you're looking at 4-year students. And then maybe you look at, diversity. So there's different ways to find a gap, but it just seems like he just throws his idea out there that he wants to look at multiple things. He wants to look at perpetrators' emotions during the offense. Like there's like 3 different things. Like he has to choose something. He's too broad. And I think that's what they're finally calling him out on. And that flowery language and the passive voice. I was so glad I saw that because I keep bitching about it. But the flowery language, I think what the teacher's saying here is that he's using these big words when he could use much smaller words. So instead of saying like aims, he'll say like posits. And the teacher's like, just say like what it is you're trying to say. Like you don't have to be over prestigious or over educated or sound well versed here. Like just get to the point. And it's harder to read and interpret when you write in passive voice. You shouldn't do that.
Someone comes in with $4.99 saying, Daniel, it's not what he is saying, it's how he states it. Language is not crisp.
Yes.
It's unreadable. Interesting.
Thank you, Suma.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your support and donation, and thank you also to Nina earlier for your support and donation as well. To Natalie, I don't know why I said Nina. Sorry about that. To Natalie, thank you guys. Appreciate you. All right, and then it goes on to say, what do you mean by passive voice? What does that mean?
Okay, so active and passive voice. So passive voice, if you look at any of the documents, like scroll to one of the documents that I wrote on, because I underlined passive voice in almost all of them. All right, obviously not this, the one that all right, okay, so over here, there you go. This is perfect.
Okay.
Go to that one that was just the one. Yeah, this one. So I wrote when writing is at the academic level. So this is one of the things. So one should know that when you write 1 through 9 in higher education, you have to write out 1, like ONE, 2, TWO. When you get to 10, 10 is where it becomes numerical. And then so you would write 1 0 for 10, 1 1 for 11. So over here, he writes like 2 to 8%. That's not even acceptable in academic standards. He should write TWO and then spell out 8. But then over here with the furthermore 9 to 10%, I'm like, he really messed himself up there because it technically should be NINE and then 10%. But I'm like, you could even see here, this isn't a true percentage. It should say at the academic level that, and I'm making this up, but furthermore, 9.876% according to the Innocence Project, and then at the end, put the citation. So you wouldn't just say like, oh, this 2 to 8%. There's probably a better percentage. The thing is that he doesn't do the citations. He doesn't reference like he should be. There should be 6 different citations in here. The active and passive voice, you guys, real quick, that just means, so in passive voice is when you say things like, here, scroll up a little bit. Let me try to get something that he says. Okay, might be incarcerated. He just wrote on the bottom, might be incarcerated. He does it so much. All of these underlines are passive voice. So instead of might be incarcerated, you should say 1 in 3 Black men between the ages of 22 and 35 are incarcerated. That's active voice. Passive voice is might be. So it's like, we do a whole lesson in this. So I don't want to like bore people on this live, but if you look up the difference between active and passive voice does not mean past tense because you are supposed to write in the past tense. So in research, you write as if it already happened. So you would say like, they are incarcerated. And then at the end, you would also put a citation because you would never make a claim like this without knowing that it came from a reference. So everywhere there's a star here, at least there should be a citation. He would not have done good on this at all in my class. I wouldn't have even graded this. I would have sent this back.
Wow, Dr. Vona being rough.
Literally, this is what it looks like when I grade papers. Except for my students,
and so a lot of citations again.
There's none.
He or needing of citations.
Yes,
I see here. He says here, follow the tough on crime era without a citation. Yeah, 50%.
And you're never supposed to use quotations, you guys. If you ever write a paper at the college level, don't quote things. You don't do that. You put a citation, and he does it a lot.
This is interesting. All right, you have this in blue.
Yeah.
It says, conversely, the defense attorney is left with many barriers for contacting and aiding their client, receiving information regarding the case well after the prosecutor. As has been discussed, false guilty plea manifests due to the lack of judicial oversight and plea deals that seem to compel defendants to enter them. These factors all point to the lack of access to the courts. If defendants fail to accept a plea bargain, prosecutors will pursue the strictest charges.
So my question for you is, so first I thought it was interesting that he writes about, you remember how Ann Taylor would complain about how she didn't get the evidence that the prosecutor would have it and she didn't have it. That's what that first part is. This second part has to do with like pleading guilty, and he writes a lot in his writings. Like one of the common themes is about people pleading guilty that are innocent. So my question to you is, do you think that he pleaded guilty? I know that he doesn't have any appeals, but isn't there an appeal that he could do that has to do with like ineffective counsel or whatever? Like, do you think that he's going to use this stuff, the little bit that he does know, to his advantage?
I mean, he could. I don't think it's the best advantage. I think it's not the route that makes the most sense if you're trying to get an innocent plea or if you're trying to get off on this. If you're trying to get a not guilty plea, I apologize, or trying to get off or hung jury or whatever the case may be, because what can he accomplish by this? He gets an appeal, then he gets to go to trial. I mean, we're back at square one then, of where he would have been. The only thing is now he may know a little bit more about what law enforcement may have been trying to do, which, maybe perhaps we should give kudos to Bill Thompson for not explaining too much during his breakdown of the case, just in case Bryan Kohberger came back and did an appeal, because then he would have known exactly how Bill Thompson would have planned on trying his case. But what would he have accomplished outside of now more people think he's guilty because he's admitted guilt? One of the problems that he had with having the trial in Latah County was the fact that it was a tainted jury. People, a lot of people thought he was already guilty, etc. And now him pleading guilty, I mean, I don't think that helps you in your cause there for a tainted jury. And I don't see how it would have helped him. I think he would have had a better chance if his goal was to fight this in some form or fashion, just to have gone to court. I think he would have had a better chance, the best chance, if he had gone to court the first time, not waived a speedy trial and gone to court in Latah County with Judge John Judge as his judge. I think that would have been his best chance to have gotten off. And I think he screwed the pooch on every aspect because of it. Maybe it was over analysis based on what he think he knew.
You're also, did you notice that you're saying that he didn't pick the simpler route? That's the same thing in his wording. He uses all these fancy words and he just needed a simpler term. Yeah. So it's like the same thing. Just somebody wrote in the comments, and I think it might have been Stacy, and thank you. She put a good thing. So if you were doing active versus passive voice, just real quick, active voices, I'm reading a book. Passive voices, the book is being read by me. So active voices, you want to say, I'm doing the thing, where passive is the book's being read by me. You don't want to talk like that in writing. But that was a great one, Stacy. You would have gotten candy for that. I throw airheads at my students. They love it.
Nice. I like airheads.
They love it. I get the big ones too. I don't get the little ones. I get like the full size ones. It really does up engagement.
Do you think he's going to try to appeal or try to do something? I mean, it's coming close to that deadline. I think it was early September. It should be sometime this month. I think it was like 40 days or something like that.
I think he had a better chance of taking this to trial. So I think now that he already pleaded guilty, I think he pretty much screwed that. I think, however, that for him, this is more about this like serial killer, like the identity part. So for him, he's probably okay with the outcome because, again, in my opinion, he's always wanted to be the one that studied in the classroom as opposed to being the teacher teaching it.
Yeah. No, well, I agree. Well, I mean, it would be the subject matter, so I guess nobody would know more about himself or the subject than himself.
This one I highlighted because it pretty much says that somebody would plead guilty because it's like the lesser of two evils. Like, I just feel like he does a lot of like trying to, but again, he's using these claims to back it up. Had he added citations, he might have had a little bit of an argument, but he doesn't because these are just his own thoughts. But this does give you an idea into how he thinks. So like, could it be that he thinks that pleading guilty is the lesser of two evils in some sense? I don't know.
Maybe.
And false convictions he talks about.
Yeah, he's talking about quite a few. He says, for instance, a false conviction involving murder and sexual assault. 70% of the cases involved eyewitness misidentification. 30% of the involved false confessions. Well, how many are? Well, it just says that the false convictions include this, but how many convictions are false? You know, I reckon it's kind of small, but.
Well, he tries to say here that about 70% of them, but that line says 40% involve eyewitness misidentification. So I'm like, which one is it? Is it 70 or 40? He says it there twice. He says 70% of cases involve eyewitness misidentification. 2 lines down, he says 40% involved identity misidentification. That would have been enough to be like, you didn't do good on this one. Done.
That's a lot of percentages. 70% involve eyewitness misidentification, 30% involved false confessions, and 45% involved misleading testimony by forensic expert witnesses. All of the false conviction cases, 40% involved with eyewitness misidentification.
So how could it be 40 and 70? Like in one line, he says it's 70% are eyewitness misidentification, and then in the next line, he says 40% are eyewitness misidentification. So it's like, are you even, and he doesn't have a citation here. So where did he get these numbers? Where did he find, who said that 70% of cases, do you know what I mean? Like, where are you getting this from? This is just not acceptable.
Well, I don't think he's saying 70% of cases. These are 70% of the false conviction cases. But I mean, even at that, he's got more than 100% here.
No, he does have more than 100%. And I wrote here, which one is it? And why write it twice? Freudian slip, because he keeps talking about eyewitness misidentification, maybe like with the Dylan thing. That was like the one thing that somebody eyewitnessed him. So I'm like, what's he trying? He writes it twice and neither one of them makes sense.
Yeah.
He talks about how human memory is not as good as like cameras. So I'm like, a lot of this stuff is like stuff that we see in the case too. Like cameras did catch you too, Brian. How about that?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, he does talk about the human memory perception. But I think this is a reason why he wanted to prolong it as much as he possibly could.
Yes, you're right.
You know, so I think that's more of that instance. It goes on to say, for instance, after vaguely seeing a perpetrator of a crime and then being shown a group of suspects in a police lineup, one might incorporate attributes of the individual within the lineup into their recollection of the actual perpetrator. In instance, the initial memory of the perpetrator has been distorted and encoded with new information. Police suggestion and stress at that time of the crime also influence inaccurate eyewitness accounts. Do you think that maybe perhaps because he had this in mind is the reason why he didn't go after Dylan so much, even though she saw him?
Possibly, like knowing that this was an easy fight. It really is an easier one to fight is eyewitness testimony. Not easier in the sense, but it's easier in the sense that there is enough research out there to show that he's like this paper, other than that top part where he like doesn't put anything, any citations, and then he does two different percentages on the exact same thing. Other than that, like the rest of this, I can follow it. But no, you're right. Like, I don't know. I don't know about Dylan. I still don't know if I don't know that he saw her. I still feel like he was looking down at the step, but that's just always been my opinion.
She feels like in her documents and that she felt that they saw each other.
You're right. She did. You're right. She did. She did say that.
So, that doesn't mean he saw her. You know, he has the visual snow stuff. And if he did say Kaylee, which I'm not sure he did, I don't know. I know I asked you this, but you know, well, I think I did ask you about the identity aspect of him saying Kaylee and if he thought that he may have said it. But if he did say it, you know, he obviously wasn't able to determine the difference between Kaylee and Xana that night. And so maybe he just didn't see her. Maybe it was too dark. And she saw him based on light. It was cloudy that night, so it would have been pretty dark.
And he could have considered that he ran out of time and that maybe he just like not cleaned up, but like maybe put his stuff away, if you will, and didn't want to like take it out and get more chances of having DNA that wasn't there. So there could have been many things involved in why he didn't go after Dylan. But I don't know that he said the Kaylee thing. I think the most plausible thing when it comes to Kaylee was what you said the one time about how he might have been so angry when he went in and Kaylee wasn't in a room. And then he goes in over there and he might have taken that, like if Kaylee was his target, like why he might have, I was like, well, Daniel, that's so right. Like why he might have taken it out more on her because she wasn't in a room and maybe he could have been, I don't know. I forget how you worded it. You worded it way better than that. And then you also worded it again another time about how he might not have known that it was Kaylee even when he did that, because how do you know it was dark? So I think a lot of this is speculation. And I don't even know that if he told us that it would be the truth. So unless we could go back and pinpoint it to something, I think a lot of this is going to remain speculation, unfortunately.
Yeah. And what I had said was, how would he have known that Kaylee was the person that was next to Maddie? I mean, why would he assume that it was her? She had her own bedroom on the same floor right next door. That could have been anybody in that room with Maddie. That could have been Dylan. That could have been Bethany. That could have been her friend that lives down the street. That could have been a neighbor. That could have been a family member. You know, it's you know, if you're trying to deduce somebody, you know, sleeping in the same bed with somebody that's normally not in that bed, you would probably think that it's somebody that doesn't have a bed in that room. And so you know, that was my thought process on that. Plus it's dark and he left her unrecognizable. And so you know, it would be more likely than not that he wasn't aware of who it was that was next to Maddie. And I mean, she was also on the inside of the between Maddie and the wall, and so he would have had to have looked past Maddie to have gotten to her and to see who she was. And it doesn't appear that he had like a flashlight or anything. It doesn't sound like it.
See,
All
you
right,
said that way better than I did.
Oh, well, thank you.
There you go. And somebody in the comments real quick just said, could he have heard Dylan yelling Kaylee's name and then just reused it? What do you think about that?
It's possible. I think that if he heard Kaylee's name, though, I think that's time for him to go. You know, that somebody's alert, somebody's aware of who he is. I think she yelled it out more than once. And I think one of the reasons why he let Dylan live was because of the fact that he heard her voice and knew somebody was aware. It just came from the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive. That was right outside of the police department. In fact, it's parked right behind him. It took him 2 minutes to get there, so he would have been well aware that once 911 got out, that it would not have been very long for law enforcement to have shown up. And so my thoughts are, if he would have heard somebody yelling out for Kaylee prior to, I don't think he heard the first time or the first couple of times. I think he was tunnel vision. I think he was focused on what he was doing. I think that he may have heard it the last time, because the last time was around the time that she heard the crying. So all of the fighting had been done, you know, and you know, fighting back and all that other stuff. It sounds like if he heard it at that moment, he's like, all right, I got to get going. And he sees her and doesn't have enough time. I think that makes probably the most sense.
I agree with that.
Natalie says the release of the evidence has certainly redirected our preconceived notions of BK. Not overly intelligent, not OCD, not admired by his professors, not close to committing the perfect crime. Sloppy, dirty, sad, and evil. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Natalie.
Natalie, thank you. Natalie gets an A. Natalie just said it so well. That's exactly how I feel, Natalie. Thank you so much.
I 100% agree. And thank you, Stacy, for your super sticker
Yes.
for $3. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, Natalie hit the bullseye on that one. I think that's exactly what it is. Let's see. This one here says, one already drafted in NCFS should be made binding and enforceable. I'm not sure what this is referencing.
I don't know why. I know me either. I have to see. Let me see. Creates an independent federal. Oh, so here he's saying that, this is what I was going to ask you. Isn't there already a federal? So he says, reports create an independent federal forensic institute. Like, in other words, saying, shouldn't we have like a federal institute that takes care of basic testing? Don't we? Isn't that the FBI?
Hold on. NAS report created an federal forensic institute that takes care of basic testing and promulgates the basic standards. That would be, I guess what he's saying is that maybe perhaps there should be a federal institution that handles all lab work instead of having a state lab.
But isn't there like the one that they put his into and they didn't hit on it? Like, isn't that a federal one?
No, Othram is a private lab.
No, not Othram. The one where they put it in to see if
FBI. The FBI entered it into Heritage, which was they weren't supposed to, but they did.
No, not even that. I mean, at the criminal level, like if you do something and they take finger, whatever they do, and they put it in something to see. Yes, CODIS. Isn't that already?
CODIS is a national database. Yes, that where you put in. I think fingerprints, DNA, and things of that nature that you can put into it and get a comparison for those things.
So we already have that. Like, I think this is another thing showing me that he's not doing his research. Like he should be researching this before he's just stating it. Yeah. False guilty pleas symbolize the lack of the due process in criminal courts, an issue that has various sources, which he didn't cite. None. Good one. Yeah.
Most importantly, Iraq offices that the issues such as these have solutions that are foreseeable in order to address issues like false guilty pleas. It is essential that all citizens have access to the courts without fear of being sanctioned more harshly for pursuing trial. Well, I mean, he was the one that was trying to limit the access to the courts from the citizens. He's one that wanted a gag order and a bunch of other stuff. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. So do you think that he's using the stuff that he's learning like in the process? Like, do you think do you think, in other words, do you think that he was just as much part of his defense team as like Ann and them?
I think that there's a possibility that he's aware of certain things that he finds or that he sees are weaknesses, and I think he was trying to manipulate the court system into those weaknesses.
I agree.
And I don't think he did a good job, but I think that's what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to manipulate it so that way, kind of like a chess player, trying to make certain moves and say certain things to try to position the opponent in a favorable position to yourself. The only difference is I think he was playing a much smarter chess player, and they screwed him over.
Well, it's funny you say that,
bad.
because in my very first video, I wrote that he was trying to play, he was playing checkers in a chess. I forget how I worded it, but it was exactly what you were just saying here. But he winds up again thinking that he's more intelligent, and he's not.
Yeah. I think he's like, if I can get everybody to look here and I can explain things and there's holes here, and he's trying to manipulate the entire scenario so that it works in his favor to that direction. But much like his studies, that's just theoretical. It doesn't work in practice.
This one, I don't know. Wait, why did I do this one? So there must be an arrest was unlawful. Oh, so in this one, he like tries to point out like flaws in a system to show why, like, so in other words, I think in this one, like the person, he winds up like asking somebody for ID or something, the cop, but the cop like walks with the guy to the room and then sees drugs of like the roommate. And here they're saying like it's an unlawful arrest, and the Supreme Court found that it was unlawful and they reversed it. So I'm like, he does a lot of digging into getting things reversed. Do you remember when he was first arrested and he supposedly said that he can't wait to be exonerated? Because exonerated would happen after you've been found guilty, right?
Yeah, but I don't think he's smart enough to word that right. I think he's using big words to try to impress people. And yes. I think that was his way of trying to impress the attorney, because that's a legal term. You get what I'm saying? Right. And so he's using a legal term back at the attorney as some form of mirroring, so to speak. Yes. And I just think that he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think there was examples, I think in the Idaho book, where he was talking to certain people and he was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And they knew that he didn't know. He was just trying to give people a false sense of that he knew what they were referring to, or that he had experiences similar to theirs.
So with that being said, right, there's a lot of these, like, I don't know if we want to go through all these ones here. There's one where he writes, like, before, like, I would hate to lose anyone. There's something where, look for the one where he writes it, like it's his handwriting. It goes on what you just said. Oh, you guys, we'll come back to some of these maybe, but they're like, I literally went a little nuts on these. Oh, I said yes, because they finally tell him that he has to cite. Here goes all examples right here. The one. So over here, these are examples. Like he wrote summated it, and the teacher circles all of these or underlines all of these, because he's like, what are you doing? Like, just put something. Then he writes cite over here. And I'm like, oh, he wrote awkward phrase. The teacher wrote awkward phrase above one of them. So these were all examples of how he was using big words that were not necessary. And the teacher finally says something to him about citing and letting him know that black should be capitalized when you write Black American. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like he should have known.
Really?
Same thing here.
Is this his writing?
No, this says 2 good questions, but you should have only answered one. For anyone that's going to college, take this as like a PSA real quick. If your assignment says that it should be 1 to 2 pages, don't think that handing in 2.5 pages makes you look smart or look like, or if you answer both questions when it says just answer one. Know that in college, one of the things that we try to enforce is listening to the rules, even on the other side. So if they say 1 to 2 pages, don't go past 2 pages. So here, I think he tried to like show that he was like studious by answering both questions. And the teacher tells him here, just answer one. You only had to answer one. Oh, this one here, this is the one. This is it. So this is his writing, and he writes, a pattern that emerges was that in general, members of our cohort, which is the group of people he goes to school with, liked activities that involve the outdoors, as well as discussing topics. Though not explicitly stated and instead implicitly communicated, cohort members enjoyed communicating their thoughts and perspectives. Further, it seemed that others' interests seemed to coincide in a manner that suggests influence. And then he puts i.e., or for example, one person stated their love for nature and others followed along. And then if you scroll down a little bit, and I'll explain, writes concrete information. On the other side, he has subjective information. So one, he's saying 1 is 2 equals 4. The other one is, how do you feel about 2 plus 2 equals 4? So one is more abstract and one is more concrete. So he writes that here. He then writes under concrete, activities in plain sight. And then in the other side, for subjective, he writes, won't get into detail of their vision. What does that say?
That's what it sounds like. Went into detail.
Went into detail of their vision. So do you see how one, it's like a vision, the other one's activities. So the vision is more of an abstract thought. The activities are very concrete. You have to do this and this to get this. Then he writes down in there, and he writes that reported interest. So what he's saying here, if you scroll back out in this whole document to me, is that he learns that he can, and you were just saying this, he mirrors, right? So he's very observant, and he's able to observe that other people in his cohort, so these other people that he has to get along with, that if you state something and you feel strongly about it, that as a human being, they're more likely to go with the flow. So he says here, for example, one person states their love for nature and everyone else follows along. So what he's saying here is that people are easily manipulated in their thought, in their thinking, and that if you just state something as fact, that you could get people to believe in that. And the truth is that there is some science that backs that, right?
And there's a bunch of folks
but to
that
me,
believe a bunch of stuff too.
Down.
No, I get it, but I mean, he's not wrong there. I mean, there's a group of people we call the pro-burgers that'll believe anything, and somebody will put it out as fact. I mean, there's been times where I've seen it. In fact, there was one time I did it. I'm not gonna lie, I did this. I created a burner account. I went into a pro-burger channel and said, "Oh man, I heard this, and this happened," and just to see what would happen, just put in the chat. And sure enough, by the next episode, it caught up into my chat, and somebody was like, "Oh man, this other person," and somebody else ran with it. Somebody
happens all the time.
Somebody ran with it. Somebody told another pro burger channel, "Hey, in this chat, this person said this," and I can't remember what it was. I think it had something to do with some random. I mean, it was the most outrageous thing. I think it had to do with a law enforcement officer purchased a K-bar knife or something of that nature. I don't remember what it was. It was something so stupid. It was real stupid.
But if you say it with enough conviction, people will believe it.
Yeah. I think I said, "Hey, my cousin is actually like a law enforcement officer in Moscow, and he said that this, and this." And it literally came out on like 4 pro burger channels.
Oh my gosh. But so then here, this just shows that he's being observant of this. So instead of just like where like you intuitively know that and you're like, oh gosh, like they ran with it because they just want to believe in. So this gave them something that they could believe in, which gave them something to run with. I think here he's like observing that and he's writing it down because he's looking at the emotions of other people so that he can mirror that back. Does that make sense?
That does. Here he writes crime. Crime underlined, and this is profit, reactive aggression, lack of respect
for authority.
Okay, I was SED. My mobility,
socioeconomic status, mobility. So that means he feels that there's an inability to climb the social ladder. So even when, and he's not wrong. So I came from the inner city of Philadelphia. If I was making a ton of money and I might not even have thought to like go on a YouTube platform as far as wanting to like the fact that like there's a lot of people that'll make a lot of money and they don't want anything to do with like helping the rest of the world. I care about helping the rest of the world and I don't make a ton of money, but I'm okay with that because I know that I'm helping people. In this sense here, just because I don't know people, you know, when they say it's not always about what you know, it's about who you know. There's something to that. There is something to that. It is what it is. So when you are in a place of upward social mobility, meaning that you know people that are in that next socioeconomic status, so the higher class, or if you're in lower class, they're in middle class. So in other words, you're able to then get your degree and latch on to them so that you could then up your social class. So he's saying here is that even with the education, there's not always socioeconomic status, upward mobility. And that's all SES mobility means. And socioeconomic status, for people that are listening that don't know, that's more of a subjective term that we define. So if you ask, like, for example, I'll never forget crying as a kid and going into my mom and being like, they just said that we were low class. And she was like, no, we're not, Jamie. We're upper lower class. And I went outside and was like, my mom just said that I'm upper lower class. I am not lower. But it was just the point that, like, when my mom said it, I felt like, duh, we're not lower class, like we're upper lower class, like who are you? So, and it really is in the mind of the beholder. So, and it has a lot to do with your education and how, like, where do you live? Do you live in the city? Do you live in the suburbs? So here, that's what SES means, socioeconomic status.
And then the last one says power. Do you think these are things that he came up with himself, or is this something that is written somewhere that these are the reasons?
This is how he feels.
All right, so couple of important things here is power, reactive aggression, and lack of respect.
Yeah,
those are some interesting reasons.
They're all signs of antisocial personality.
What is this?
I thought this was funny. It's police. So yeah, so this is how he feels about the police. Because again, I think that he puts these characteristics, like all of them, I think are like things that he thinks. They're not something that's like research. My favorite here under police is warrior enforcers.
I was going to say that's very similar to the book that he had in his office or in his apartment.
Yes, you're right.
It was warrior something. So
something of the rise of the cop warrior.
Yeah, exactly. And this is warrior enforcer. So to me, I think he's, writing down what he's learned from his books. Investigate warrior enforcers, articulate, maybe, are aggregate. I don't know what he wrote.
I don't know what he says there, but then he says tribalism. Yes. So he feels like it's like a tribe that you're like either part of it or you're not. And then undertrained. Duh, don't you remember he's smarter than all the cops?
Yeah. Wow.
He's something else. What a douche. He really is. And then about the corrections in the courts, he just wrote other things, but I just circled the two that I felt like pertained to us most. Yeah.
And then he had, I think there was one thing that I had wanted to see in this one because there was so much that you wrote on it. What is going on here? Oh, look.
He finally
he cited something.
See, he finally cites here. So he's finally citing, and then he says... Oh, so he actually not only cites here, you guys, but he cites correctly. And a lot of people that don't use citations don't do it because they don't know how to do it in the APA 7th edition format. And he does it right, which was like, that was pretty impressive to me. So he either was a quick learner or he already knew how to cite and he just didn't. So maybe he wanted to see what he would be held accountable for. I don't know, because he literally goes from not doing it at all to doing it correctly. Like even his front page of one of his papers, he does correctly. Then I wrote something about, this is a good example of him using too much language when he opposed to using something more simple and direct. So here, for example, the teacher even says it. He writes, precipitates the reverse of mass incarceration. And he just could reduce all of that by putting reduce incarceration. So instead of precipitates the reverse of mass incarceration, just write reduces incarceration.
Yeah.
But that was like a good example of what he does throughout all of his writing.
He's a douche.
Really
I bet you his teachers are like frustrated with him. Like, dude, just talk right. Just be right.
Yes. Yes, even over here. So I put the thing where he does the quotes. You're not supposed to do quotes. And then over here, he writes the name, Notre Jackson. And then he writes a teenager accused of killing her mother. And then Jennifer, like he writes it. Oh, no, Jennifer's the mom. I take that back. I stand corrected. I thought he wrote the girl's name twice. So I need to go back and take that off, you guys. See, I could admit when I'm wrong. I should take that off. But other than that, there's still a ton here. I wrote wow here because he wrote, why did I write wow? Norma's story stated that she discovered her mother's, oh, I know why. Oh my gosh, this is crazy, you guys. He writes prior to the discovery of the decedent. It's her mother. Like he does not see the mother as like, he sees the mother more as an object here instead of as like a loving person. Do you see what I mean? So he's restating what he sees in the case study. And in the case study, he says prior to the discovery, and the teacher even writes her mother's body. Like by putting the decedent, it just like it like takes away from the fact that it's like the mother. Does that make sense? Am I saying that wrong? Do you know what I'm saying?
Stripping identity and
stripping identity.
More of a project again.
Yes. And just like they're just, what did he call them? Meat or whatever?
Yeah, sacks of meat.
Yeah, sacks of meat. And then, these were two things that the teacher pointed out. So instead of writing conveyed, just write told. Instead of saying defleeting, just write lying. Like he tries to do the most and there's no need. And that's what the teacher pointed out. I didn't even point them out like the teacher did. And I wrote here that an instructor finally holds him accountable.
But I got a question for you. Just kind of playing a little bit of advocate here. Devil's advocate. Why is it so bad to use big words?
It's not. You just have to use them correctly, and you have to use them as if they mean something in that sentence. Like you shouldn't, because this is another thing, Daniel. When I do my research, after I'm done my research, I want my findings to go out to the general population and to the general public. Not 90%. I'm making that up. See, I shouldn't do that. So a huge percentage of the population are going to understand things in simpler terms. You don't want people to shy away from reading research because they're going to read it and be like, what the hell did that just say? So you want things to be in terms that could be communicated. If you want to write more academic like that, do that in something that you get published, like in a journal. But as far as communicating it to your teacher or to your cohort or to the general public, you should use terms that other people are going to recognize. So write the word I aim to do this instead of I posit. Like most people aren't going to know what posit means. And that's only going to make them feel like it's less attainable to understand. And you want people to read research and understand it. So why make it more threatening by putting words in there that we don't really use?
Isn't that
like how many times have you used posits? Like, do you use posits? I don't use that.
I said, isn't that something you ring around?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
ring
right.
Around the posit.
Ring around the posits.
Just kidding. I have no idea what a posit is.
It just means aims. It means aims. Aims. Yeah. So instead of saying Daniel aims to, you would say Daniel posits, or Daniel argues is better than Daniel posits. It's like nobody uses that. Academics use it, but the general public usually doesn't. Like I'd be surprised how many people in the chat use the word posits regularly.
Do you think that was his way of telling the professors he's one of them?
Yes, but I think it showed that he wasn't.
Yeah, that he was a poser.
He was like trying too much. Yes, and I feel like a lot of them fall through it. Posits.
A posit poser. He was a PP.
I posit that he was trying to be just like his professors.
Yeah. Let's see. Will there be a test at the end of the live stream?
I know, right? I know. I feel like I'm all hyped up now. Like I definitely shouldn't. Thank God I have nothing to grade after this because I'm like, I don't know, you guys. Am I too hard of a grader? Like,
I mean, you make me nervous if I had to go to your class. I would not be citing anything. Everything would be from my mind. I'd be like, where did you get that from?
Have to cite. Yes, you would have to cite. But I would show you a very easy way to do it.
It was like this one time. It was like this one time me and my buddies went to another town. I can't remember the name of the town. And And we were driving through, and I was like, man, I heard there was like a paintball arena here, and then there was, but we never could find it. This is back in the day before Google Earth and maps. He had to use MapQuest and things of that nature. And we were like in high school, and so we were like, we just hope to one day drive upon it. And one day we were talking about it. My buddy goes, man, I wonder how much it is to go in. And I was like, man, I heard it was like $15. And he's like, from where? I was like, for me. Nobody.
I love when
it just
people
makes
are like,
sense.
everybody says, or like everybody's and I'm like, who is everybody? Like, where did you hear this from? And I don't know. I'm like,
That's
that up.
how I would cite this. I mean, I would be like, my neighbor said this. It sounded right.
Yeah, but I feel like as a student, I disagree with you. I definitely don't think you would. And I feel like I tell my students all the time not to be scared of the writing. If anything, just come to me. I legit will do a Zoom class with a one-on-one if you need it. I'll do it at 3 a.m. if that's what time you're awake. Like, I make it so easy to do well, like if you want to, that I feel like all I would have to do is go over the basics a few times, or maybe even one time, and write it down, and that you would be able to go back to it and then fix it. I feel like it takes a while before somebody tells them like, yo, cite something. But then he does it, which shows that he was capable of it. He just wasn't doing it.
Does this explain why he was looking at WSU and the other university in Irving, because they didn't have a test that you needed to get into it? Does it make a little bit more sense because of all this?
That makes a good question. I don't know. I will tell you that when it came to my doctorate degree, I did want something very competitive, and that was a big thing for me. So I didn't want to go to a school where everybody was just accepted. And I will tell you that the first day I showed up, there was like 40 of us sitting there. And I remember being like, everybody told me this was selective. Like 40 feels like a lot of people. 3 of us graduated. Pretty selective.
Wow. There it is. Daniel, Dr. Vona, what do you think will be released next? We've seen police camera footage, BK's apartment. I feel there's little left. Well, I know that there's a lawsuit right now going on to prevent the rest of the images of the crime scene, which includes the victims' bodies. I've talked about that here, that if they did release that, that's not something that we would show. There's only certain things that we would show on this channel. We looked at some of the images from inside of the house. Mainly the things that we wanted to focus in on more was the stuff that had to do with Bryan Kohberger, where he may have stepped in, where he walked at. The outside pictures in the snow were pretty important, in my opinion. It kind of also showed, like when you look at the drone footage, the mechanicness behind his walk. In the more recent docs, there was his vehicle, and it showed that he had added a black visor to his hood. In my opinion, it was in efforts to try to make his vehicle look more unique and different from the vehicle that was captured on footage. It was obviously purchased after the Bolo, because there was pictures from Dateline that they had images from Bryan Kohberger's phone where when he replaced his license plates with Washington plates was after the murders, and it wasn't there. And then in these recent docs, they were pictures more focused on Bryan Kohberger and his apartment. Do you think he planned on going back
to school? Absolutely. I think even though he was welcome back, that he was going to go back and try to fight it using policy and stuff. And who knows, he might have gotten away with it. I don't know. But to answer Stacey's question too, I think we don't know what we don't know. Didn't they say there's 7 terabytes of information? So who knows what's out there that we just don't even know exist yet?
I thought it was 56 terabytes. Yeah.
Oh, it was a lot, right?
So but I think a lot of it is just like footage from, from different places, like the camera footage from like the grub truck. I think that's in there, and for like hours upon hours of that.
Well, what about all selfies? I wonder if we'll ever get to see them.
The selfies?
Yeah, they said there's selfies of him like without his shirt and stuff.
Oh, yeah. The ones, and there was also images of like screen grabs of the movie American Psycho.
And all that would be interesting.
That would be. Wicked comes in asking, do you think we'll see any officer cam footage of BK's arrest? I don't know if they had any of, I mean, there was some sort of footage because I think the documents that I've read indicated that Officer Payne or Corporal Payne and another officer were about 30 minutes away watching a live feed. So there
Why do
must
I
be
feel like that
something.
was like? I feel like that was like a FaceTime, Daniel. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I live here, but I feel like in Pennsylvania, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to find something. Like, I don't think there is a body cam footage. I think there should have been, but I don't know that there is. And I know about the live stream thing, but that could have been FaceTime or like a Google whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it might not have been something that was being taped. I hope we do, but I don't think we're gonna.
I would hope
I don't
it
think we're
was.
gonna though.
Ask your questions, guys. We're going to be here for the next 5-10 minutes answering your questions. Put a couple of stars so that we know that you're talking to us. You know, I know that there's a lot of conversation back and forth in the comment section, and so thank you for that, for the conversation. But in order for us to know that you're talking to us, put a couple of stars. Tim Collins, friend of the show, says that was his public defender statement. By the way, Bryan invoked standing silent at his arraignment. You know, one of the weird things about that is that Ann Taylor did the standing silent with her new defendant, Skylar Mead, I think is his name.
Did she?
And yeah. And I think that Bryan Kohberger was the first time, you know, given Bryan's studies and everything that we've seen of him, whose idea do you think that was? His,
Hers,
or
probably.
you think it was hers? Because I don't know if she's ever done it before. She's done it since. I don't know if she did it before Bryan Kohberger.
No, you're right. That's a good point. So maybe he brought up like, what is this, or why, or should I? No, you're right about that, because why wouldn't she have used it prior to that? And I don't know how many cases she has, but she was DP certified, so she had to have had other cases like that. So no, you're right, but it was probably him. Who knows? It might have been him. I'm surprised though that she did that again. That's interesting.
She did it again, and
Do you think that new case made her like rush his case?
No.
Okay.
I think that they had told him a long time ago that the case was his case was weak, you know, especially when the alibi came about. I can't seem to. I think that she's an intelligent person, Ann Taylor, and I think she can see past the bull crap, you know, and you know, she has a job to do. But there was a moment there when law enforcement was asking for the alibi, and Ann Taylor and Bryan Kohberger's defense team were asking for his advanced call timing records. Now, this is during the moment and during the time when Ann Taylor was misinformed, misunderstood, and wrong about the Bill Thompson and the prosecution for having the advanced timing records. Apparently, she had an expert who was an expert 15 years with AT&T, but was unaware of how long AT&T held on to their advanced timing records. It was only for 7 days. Now, they did do a pool from all of the phones that were connected to the towers during the time when the murders happened. Unfortunately for Bryan Kohberger and everybody else, his phone was turned off, so it wasn't part of that group or bunch to get the advanced timing records. And it was like it happened in real time when Ann Taylor kind of realized that. She's like, well, they didn't know him until December 19th, and so it would have been expired by then. She's like, yeah, and you can see everything starting to click, like she's finally understanding it. And then she even says to Judge Hipp, was like, but the premise for most of my arguments have been about this. And like that makes a difference. That that's been your argument, so they have to have it then. Right. I thought that was so wrong. I almost said something else.
It's her just
I thought that was so wrong. When she said that, she's like, but that's been the basis of most of our arguments. And I'm like, well, the basis of most of your arguments have been wrong. Just because it's the basis of your arguments and all the, the want for it and the request and the demand for discovery, you've been wrong. And at every point, Bill Thompson and law enforcement and the prosecution have been saying, we can't give her what we can't have, what we don't have. And that was the exact statement that he had said when she was asking for something. Now, at the time, we didn't know what it was, but we do know now. And Bill Thompson told the judge, Your Honor, we can't give them what we don't have. They don't exist. And then shortly after that, they asked for the alibi, and Ann Taylor used the same words. And this was shortly after Bryan Kohberger's alibi was that he was driving someplace and there was no time or location or any of those things on any specific night, just that he wasn't there. And during that moment, Ann Taylor stands up and says, when asked about the alibi, she says, "We can't give him, Bill Thompson, what we don't have. I know as much as we knew that time, and that's it." That told me that Bryan Kohberger didn't tell his lawyer where he was or what he was doing that night. He was keeping that purposefully vague. And there's only one reason why you do that. And if you know, and Ann Taylor, there's no way that she didn't know that.
So you want to know what's funny? What you're saying here is that she says something with conviction and a bunch of pro-burgers and stuff believed her, right? So it's kind of like, because when she would state an argument, even if it was wrong, if you didn't know anything about the law or about criminal justice, like you could be like, oh yeah, that's a great point, not realizing that, okay, that's not legal, that's not a legal point type thing, or that has no legal basis. But I think she's a great example of how if you say something with enough conviction that you could get people to believe it even when it's not real.
Oh yeah, I mean, she had a way of saying things, and one of the things that she would say is like somebody would say something, she's like, "Oh, we're going to talk about that, we're going to get to that." And then they never got to it. And it was a big nothing. It was a womp. But then you had all these pro channels going, "Oh, we're gonna get to that," and then they completely forgot about it when they never got to it. And then when asked, like, "Hey, you know, what about that scenario?" And she's like, "Oh, she's got something up her sleeve. You didn't see what she said?" Yeah, nothing. So
there was something she cited, and it was Hitler that called her out and was like, "Wait, but how does that go at the state level?" And she's like, well, and like he like catches her because she never looked at it on that level or didn't know how it worked. It was either state or government. It was like the opposite of, and she's like, well, and he's like, well, then how does that, like, what does that mean for here? So like he does call her out on it, which was great, like to see that. But again, if she wasn't called out on it, you might just believe some of the things that she said, because I guess it's being a good defense attorney, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that he called her out on was like she wanted to drop the death penalty, and because they said that the firing squad was inhumane, and him having to wait, not know it's inhumane, and all this other stuff, right? And he goes, well, according to Idaho law, you have to come up with an alternative reason or alternative means of execution, which you did not. And she was like, and he's like, I understand it's kind of hard, but you need to have a conversation with your client about an alternative means of execution if you're thinking that this means is inappropriate. And they couldn't come up with one. And there was so many of those type of things. You're absolutely right. And he called her out, but Judge wouldn't. And that's why I was so glad that we got Judge Hipler.
And the one where he says about it's his DNA twice on Sunday or whatever he said, that was a funny one too.
Yeah, where he's like, you need a warrant for DNA left at a crime scene.
Yeah, it was so funny.
It was insane.
Yes, I think literally go the rest of my life too. I hear you.
Well, apparently,
I still want to see it though. I am like curious. I just want to see, like, I don't know what I want to see, but I just want to see. But you're probably right. That's probably just my, like, I don't know what that's going to do for the case. You know what it is for me? It's the fact that I know that he's body conscious, and he did not give grace to these victims by any means. Like, poor Ethan was found wearing socks. Like he did nothing. So like, if he could be that inhumane to these victims, why can't we see him looking like a fool in his, without a shirt on?
No, Big Blue said he had a party trick up his sleeve. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No,
I think it was Howard Bloom. We were reading Howard Bloom's article, and he wrote that Bryan Kohberger at one point had like a skin flap that hung over his groin, like an envelope. And then Big Blue goes, "Man, that's a crazy party trick to do at a party." Like,
yes, it is.
Look at what I can do.
That's so funny. Hey, you ever saw this before?
Yeah, that was Big Blue's, like, one of his famous lines. I think we almost made a shirt about that.
I think I've heard him say it, but I don't think I've realized what it was in reference to.
Yeah, we've talked about his party trick. That was the whole thing. Good times. Good old Blue. I hope he's doing all right. So Dr. Vona, what do you have going on next for your channel?
So I just was on the other day and I was on today. So I know that I have tomorrow's Labor Day and I go back to Pennsylvania. I'm in New Jersey right now. But then I start my classes Tuesday. So my thing is I'm trying to be realistic. The next time I'll probably be on will be either Tuesday or Thursday. So look out for Tuesday or Thursday. Maybe I'll be even with you or whatever, and we could do the next part of this.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We definitely can. For
So
me,
look out for
guys,
that.
I'm still covering a couple of other cases as well. I'm covering the Timothy D's murder. It's currently not considered a murder, which it should be. I mean, it's wild that it's not.
That's Ellen Greenberg.
Huh?
Ellen Greenberg. I keep telling you about that one. That's the same type of thing. It's not considered a murder. They said that she committed S and she's got like 20 something stabs to the back of her neck and head.
Yeah, no, with Timothy D's, there's possible like law enforcement involvement here. Like one of the things it's insane because like and so is that one, but this one, and what I'm going to actually be putting out tomorrow is there's a guy there's a guy named Caleb. It's Timothy Dees, Dees, and he went missing after going with his friend to his friend's house for to get away. Timothy was struggling with the loss of his brother. He had just passed away, and he was kind of getting involved in the wrong stuff. And one of this wrong stuff he was doing was doing some drugs and things of that nature. And he ended up going with his buddy Caleb. And the crazy thing about this is, so Caleb, he goes to his buddy's house, Caleb's, who's about an hour and a half south of where he lives, and he's the only person that he knows. And at 4:40 in the morning on February 28th, at about 4:04 a.m., Timothy calls 911 saying that his friend is threatening him and chasing him. Now, the only person he knows in Fredericktown is that guy. And so, which is okay. Maybe they had a splat or something. Law enforcement show up and they end up meeting with this guy there who's Caleb's cousin, who claims he had just arrived there because he had like some sort of flat tire and was needing assistance. And he claims that when he arrived there that he saw Timothy Dees leave at a high rate or at a fast pace, that he took off out of there really quick. And he was agitated. He was uncooperative with law enforcement. He also had a warrant for his arrest, so they arrested him. The officer that arrested him assumed that the agitated man causing a scene out there was the person that was bothering Timothy. And so he didn't bother to go and make contact with him or call him or do anything. Well, that 911 call happened right in front of Caleb's house. And 5 months later, Timothy's body was found 180 yards away from that location in a tree line. And there's some weird stuff that go along with it. Like, for instance, we recently were able to access Timothy's Facebook. Timothy's parent or his mom ended up hiring a firm that they can get into his account, and they recently were able to. And this guy, Caleb, had messaged his buddy at 8:32 on the 28th saying, "I'm going to whip your effing ass." And that's the last time he messages him. And what ends up happening is his buddy Caleb ends up going to jail. Now, this is a weird one because his buddy goes to jail at around, according to documents, at 9 a.m. And this is when he says he goes to jail at 9 a.m. That message happens around 8:39 in the morning that he's going to whip his ass. And then at about 9:15, Timothy's debit card is used at an ATM machine. Now, the footage is collected by the chief of police from the area, but unfortunately, as they collected it and had it stored, it was struck by lightning somehow and is not usable. Now, Caleb his alibi for that morning is that he was in jail, that he got arrested at 9 o'clock because the day before him and Timothy did a drive off. They went pump gas and took off. And so they come up and they try to, they hassle Caleb in the morning, and they end up arresting him. And he also had a warrant. So he ends up staying in jail for 40 days. So his alibi is that at the time that Timothy is using his debit card at 9 o'clock in the morning, he is being arrested. What they don't account for is that Timothy's parents did some investigating, and they found a friend of Caleb's who was texting them. Caleb had texted this friend that morning talking about how Timothy stole some stuff and he was pissed off and he was looking for him. And this was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, he says, I don't need to find him no more. And then at 10 o'clock, he says, I need $10 because I'm going to go to jail for obviously what had occurred the night before. Now he's messaging somebody at 10 a.m. about going to jail, not at 9, but yet law enforcement are going based off of this 9 o'clock, which would put him in jail or in custody before the debit card usage at 9:15. But he's texting somebody about law enforcement being with him at 10 a.m. And this is documented that it was at 10 a.m. that law enforcement are there, and he's asking for $10 so he doesn't go to jail for the gas drive off. And so law enforcement, he's lying. Huh?
Couldn't he have been the one that used the card?
That's what I'm thinking. And here's the other thing is the debit card was found back with Timmy and his remains when they were found. His card was in his pocket, but his pants were pulled down. Now, law enforcement indicate and claim that the pants were pulled down possibly because there was a stream nearby, which was very weak. I've looked at the stream. It's very weak. But the weird thing is that the stream goes in the opposite directions in which the pants were pulled down.
That don't make sense.
It does not make sense. And so, then Barbara, who is Timothy's mom, has a bit of an altercation with the police chief who had collected the ATM footage, and she had done a like a FOIA for the area, but I think it's called like a Sunshine Act for his footage, and unfortunately, that too was struck by lightning. Now, that's not the only thing struck by lightning. The 911 call, which law enforcement tried to at one point deny happening, was also struck by lightning and not able to be released.
That's interesting. I'm definitely going to look into that. I'm interested in that.
And
I feel like if you're interested in that, you would be interested in Ellen Greenberg. It's something similar where they think that it like Ellie or even higher up than that could be involved in like the cover up of it.
And here's a weird one too. Timothy's body was found on the property of a sitting judge. So I'm not necessarily certain that law enforcement had something to do with Timothy's death, but it appears that there was a string of drug activity in the area. I wouldn't be surprised. And it's kind of like in the Long Island serial killer where the chief of police was involved with prostitution and he was trying to avoid being detected in the investigation against those prostitution ring. I think that there may be something going on in Fredericktown, Missouri with somebody high up, and they don't want an investigation in the area because it might uncover what they're doing. Not necessarily that they had something to do with the death of the disappearance.
Right.
But they don't want it to be investigated. You know, there's some more things. Timothy's bones, I've seen the remains. It was skeletal remains. He had a tooth missing. And when they brought the remains to the coroner, the tooth was put back into his skull with no documentation as to why. In my opinion, that is to show the coroner or have the coroner indicate that there's no sign of foul play, that he didn't get hit, that he didn't get punched, and there's no reason to investigate it.
That's crazy. I need to look into that. That's interesting to me. It really is.
I'm going to be dropping I'm going to be dropping tomorrow Caleb's interview with law enforcement and some of the red flags that he says. That's going to be dropped tomorrow. And then I have Timothy D's on the channel. I have Barbara Hall, Timothy D's mom, on the channel a little bit later on this week.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Nice. And I'm going to send you the Ellen Greenberg thing, because in that one, they don't think that law enforcement were involved. They think that the boyfriend was, and that his uncle or something has somebody in like higher ups that helped. The coroner at first ruled it. I think they ruled it a homicide at first and then went back and said that it was an S, that she took her own life. But if you see these, like, you would have to get it like this. And like, it was just like almost, it's like impossible to do these knife wounds that they said she inflicted on herself. Mm-hmm. I'll have to send it to you. But it reminds me of that too. But I'm definitely going to look that up as soon as we hang up here.
Yeah. I should have the video out, the jailhouse interview while he was in jail. And it comes with another clip. So here's the other interesting thing, right? So Caleb was in jail for 40 days. Timothy was missing for 5 months. I have a video of Caleb, a video called to Barbara Hall saying, I miss Timothy. This don't seem right. I'm going to help you find him. But the last message he ever sent was a threat to him. He never messaged him again when he got out of jail. He never said, where are you? How are you? We're looking for you. And that was his means of conversation. Never once
Did he know he
messaged
was
him again.
missing by then, though?
Oh yeah. Well, he was in jail telling his, Timothy's mom that he was going to help find her and something doesn't seem right.
Oh,
And
you're
when he
saying
gets
that he
out-
didn't message her when he got out?
No, he didn't
I
message him ever. The last message that he gave Timothy was, I'm going to whip your effing ass when I find you. And that was February 28th at 8:30 something in the morning. He went to jail for 40 days. And while he's in jail, he's telling law enforcement, he's telling Barbara Hall, Timothy's mom, as soon as I get out of jail, I'm going to help find him. We're going to go look for him. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But he never once messaged him again. I mean, to me, that's an indication of he knows that there's no point in messaging him.
Yeah.
Because he knows what happened to him. And
yeah,
so,
I'm definitely looking into that.
Yeah, and then for Lily and Jack, I'm also covering the Lily and Jack Sullivan disappearance. I don't have any updates yet, but I've been talking with a lot of people in the area, a lot of family members, a lot of friends, a lot of neighbors, and I'm getting a real good understanding of that case. So I'll be covering both of those things a little bit more in depth this week as well.
I am covering the Mackenzie Shirley case, and I just recorded it's like a 45-minute documentary type thing that I go into. Not only in her case, the reason I'm interested too is because of the family dynamics, but also the 17-year-old brain. So I go into adolescent egocentrism, imaginary audience, personal fable. So it's not only just about her story, but there's a whole educational piece to it as well to help people understand the mind of a 17-year-old. And again, it's not to say what she did was okay, but it helps to understand what's going on and how somebody at 17 can make that decision in an instant type thing.
Interesting. Let us know. We'll share it. We'll look into it. I'm interested into the stuff that you're looking into as well. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Vona, for jumping on. And for those that are watching on our channel, thank you for tuning in.
And
please
same
hit the
here
like
for anybody watching on my channel. Thank you for tuning in with Daniel, and please subscribe, like, and share.
100%. Until next time, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be dropping that video, so it'll probably be out in a little bit in the afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. And then I plan on coming back live on Tuesday night. So until then, we'll see you guys there. Peace out.
Bye, guys.